like to start?
Mr. Case,
Here.
Mrs. Denny,
Here.
Mr. Hart,
Here.
Mrs. Casper, Dr. Kennedy,
Here.
Mr. McCray,
Here.
Mr. McCree,
Here.
Mr. Schneider,
Here.
Mrs. Cocker.
Sorry.
8 present, 0 absent.
Thank you to our JROT. Our first communication team, but for our Wilson
to pursue cyber jobs within our community or military. This year, Wilson High School, with the sponsorship of Army JRC, is being recognized for the second time as a Cyber Award winner. This year, we have participated in several cyber programs, Cyber Start America, Cyber Patriot, and the SANS Institute Cyber Challenge, to name a few. This year, we are awarded, the school is awarded the Gold Award for participation in the Cyber Start America program. This year, out of 960 students within New England states, we placed first, second, and third place in Cyber Start America. Our accomplishments for this school year includes 21 students being awarded the National Cyber Scholarship Foundation, valued at more than $3,000 each. We also participated in Lockheed Martin CodeQuest in February and CyberQuest in March at King of Prussia. This opportunity provides the participants the eligibility to apply for a $40,000 scholarship and/or paid internship with Lockheed Martin. We also, for the first time, kicked off Cyber Patriot for our inaugural year at Wilson High School by registering 5 Cyber Patriot teams. Currently, we have 16 active team members with 2 all-female teams. Cyber Patriot is a national competitive cybersecurity competition. We competed in 4 rounds of competition, and our Team 4, Bit Rebels, was able to make it to the semifinals. With our successes, we were chosen to host and were finalists in the inaugural JRC 2nd Brigade competition on March 29th. The Army sponsorship of this competition allowed us to compete against schools from New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Maine, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. Wilson High School placed first place overall to bring the trophy home. At this time, I would like to give special recognition to a few of our club members for all their hard work and accomplishment within the club this year, although they could not all be here tonight. Senior Cadet George Dunda. Junior Quinn O'Donnell. Sophomore Cadet Sarah Padilla. Sophomore Cadet Danica Courtois. Sophomore Cadet Destiny Rosario. Sophomore Chase Mustafa. Junior Dario Cardenas. Freshman Ayush Kale. And sophomore Cadet Cole Savage from Conrad Weiser High School. In closing, this year has been very exciting for me as coach and technical mentor. We believe the best is yet to come with our cybersecurity club. This summer, I will be hosting for the first time the AFA Cyber Summer Camp open to 8th to 11th graders at Wilson High School, and it's also open to other schools. In addition, next slide, please. Thomas A. Edison, with our accomplishment at the competition, has invited us to participate in Queens, New York, in the Army JCLC Cyber Camp with 5 of our club members. Moving forward, we will continue to grow the cybersecurity club. Next slide, please. For next school year, we will have our first cyber intern, in which we will be working on starting a cyber club at both West and Southern Middle School. With our partnership at Penn State, we now have a student mentorship program. We will also be competing in our Future AI Creative Ideas competition. We have been approved a sponsorship by Amazon for their Future Engineer Project STEM program, which has focused on Python language. We would also like to open our summer camp to all Southern and West Middle School students in 2025, if possible. We will also be working on creating a computer lab at the school, and once the Army approves our JRC cyber program, I'm going to create a JRC robotics, drone, and esports JRC competitive teams. As we continue forward, with continued support of the Wilson High School and District, we are on track to meet our vision and goal for the program. We have been successful with little to no cost to the students or the school district. At this time, I would like to open the floor for any question that you may have.
Yeah, I didn't really have a question. That's a really impressive resume for such a short window, and I thank you for working with the students, and I applaud the students again. It's really, really impressive work.
Thank you. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would just add, I know when you originally brought, all this was originally brought to us, a couple of years back, we talked about what the vision could be and where we could get to. And the fact that we accomplished, like I said, so much in such a little time is absolutely fantastic. And again, testament to you and testament to the students. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. We're just getting started, though. We have a lot to do. Any other questions?
When the teams are you going against other teams? And are you sort of trying to penetrate other people's defenses and et cetera?
So we have several different teams for different competitions. And so when they compete, they're not only just competing against other schools, but they're also competing against other teams within Wilson High School. So they're also they're broken up into specific number of students per team, and they're competing literally against each other. So they work together, but at the same time, they have to work within their teams.
It's really impressive. Big bucks in cybersecurity. Our country needs it. Our businesses need it. Public institutions. It is the future. So stick with it. You have a great early start. Wonderful. Great program.
Anyone else? All right. All right. Thank you.
Okay, next under communications, we have the Wilson High School Mini-Thon. The overall captains are Gia Jacobs, Avonlea Lechner, and Caitlin Trickett.
Hello. Hello. We're the Wilson High School Mini-Thon leadership team. I'm Giovanna Jacobs.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Avonlea.
And this year we were able to raise a record $98,188.24.
This year, this was our 2024 leadership team, so we have different captain groups and different people are assigned to each roles throughout the whole year, and each role is important to helping to our total.
What is Mini-Thon? Mini-Thon is a club at Wilson High School. We hold events every year and fundraisers. We raise money for the Four Diamonds Foundation. We are dedicated to raising money for the Four Diamonds Foundation. We raise money to raise awareness for pediatric cancer and to help the families affected by it. On March 8th, we hosted our 12-hour event with fun activities, dancing, games, food, and opportunities to meet and hear from Mini-Thon families. This year, we raised $98,188.24.
Four Diamonds was founded by Charles and Irma Millard after their son who passed away from pediatric cancer. He was diagnosed at the age of 11. He fought for 3 years before, unfortunately, losing his battle. And this organization has not only grown to high schools and middle schools, but you've probably heard of Thon, Penn State. They raised 16 million some this year. And every penny counts. And the amount that we were able to raise from our school is a testament to Charles' legacy, their son, and the mission that we continue to fight for.
There's just a photo of our whole team this year with everyone involved.
There was 35 captains this year, and then our amazing advisors are in the back corner, Mr. Rudd and Ms. Marconi.
And then, so all of our money that we raise throughout the year goes to certain things like music therapy, child life services, like the people that are in need, they get food cards from the hospital so they don't have to pay, and gas cards to pay for their gas for the hospital trips, and then just research equipment all over.
So to kick off our fundraising for this year, we started in early spring and summer of last year with moonlight swims at both Green Valley and Lincoln Park Pool. You see some photos up on the screen from it. We had great turnout from it.
This is the 2024 Leadership Summit. Every year they hold a summit, normally in August, where mini-thons from across the state and even New Jersey can come, talk about different ideas and hear from each other. The three of us presented during one of the stations, and then we had a great time getting to interact and bounce ideas off of other people and getting to hear about their events, help ours.
And then we have our annual Gold Out game, and we have Gold Out games for every sporting event, so we get everyone involved, and it's always fun to dress up and support the kids.
So this year, we were able to partner with local businesses, including InstaShine and Tommy's Car Wash. We just had a fundraiser this past weekend with them in order to raise money. We also did a manual car wash where the captains actually washed the cars, and volunteer members throughout the high school, our select members, we call them. And those were a great success as well and really helped to add to our total.
Duncan's Corn Maze has become an annual event that we like to hold. We hold it at Duncan's Corn Maze, and we get all the students to come. This year we held it during the week of homecoming to try to get as many students as possible to have some fun. We had games, we had food, we had s'mores, and the students had a really fun time.
And then every year we do Kids Night Out 2 times a year, once in the winter around Christmas time and then another time during Valentine's Day. And the parents drop off their kids for a few hours and we just get to babysit them, and it's really fun.
So every year we do caroling around the holidays, great way to interact with community members and get our cause known out to them. So that's a little picture of our caroling group this year, which was also a lot of fun and it got to bring us closer together with one another.
This was the first pep rally we've held in many years. We had a lot of fun, as you can see from the pictures. We got to make human sundaes out of some important people from the high school. But we also got the students involved. We made sure that the sports teams got recognized for all their accomplishments. We had teams against each other. The teachers got to participate. They did Hungry Hungry Hippos against each other. And we all came together for a really incredible event that we couldn't have done without your support.
And then we also combined it with the Kingsman Club, so it just brought in more people. And we did a basketball tournament, so we did a bracket for the high school and the middle school kids. And it was fun because we made shirts for them this year, so it was a good event.
So our night of is our big event. It's a 12-hour event, and it kicks off with community hours in which anyone from around the community can come. We have different games set up by different clubs and concessions available. We had Kona Ice and Sweet Ride there this year. And at the top of each hour, we have a line dance, which is put on by our morale captains. It's to different popular songs. We twist the lyrics to fit Minithon and Minithon's mission. And so on the screen are some images. We had Zumba this year, which was amazing. We had it twice during the night. Yoga, so that we could keep dancers moving, make sure that, they weren't getting tired. And we also had a rave with DJ Serrano, if you know him. He's well known through the high school students.
Right, and then a special thanks to Mr. Citrone, his tech crew, and the teacher volunteers for helping, and all of you guys. We couldn't do it without you, and truly this has been an amazing experience for all of us. We made so many friendships, and I've learned so many things just being in this club, so it's been amazing. Thank you.
Special thanks to all of our sponsors. All of these people helped make this possible. All these companies have donated money to help us reach our goal and make our groundbreaking record. Thank you again to the school district for helping make this happen. We couldn't do this without your support and for allowing us to hold this great event every year and help people in our community and all around the world. Thank you.
You guys have any questions for us?
Anybody have questions or comments? Mr. Schneider?
Yeah, first of all, I got to go to community hours, and it was a blast, as it always is, so thank you for opening it up to the entire community. Additionally, 98,000 is an incredible number, so kudos to all of you, kudos to the sponsors. But I was wondering, what does the 98 include the monies from the middle and elementary schools, or that's all inclusive?
Yeah, we had all the money from both middle schools and the elementary schools all together for a total. They help us. We work with them throughout the year to make sure that we can help them plan events. So it's not like it's all on them. We help them with that with our
Right.
EMS captains.
Well, you've set the bar really high for next year, so whoever's got to fill your shoes, good luck to them.
Dr. Trickett?
President Cocker, just quickly, thank you to our leadership team and to our advisors. I see they're back there as well, Becca and Tyler. I just want to make a comment about the impact that this organization makes on the culture of this community and the high school. I think a lot of times we celebrate, which is an incredible accomplishment, right? The goal of raising funds to battle pediatric cancer. However, oftentimes we don't see all of the impact that all those other little pieces that you do throughout the school year makes on the school community. So many students are involved, so many parents. I saw so many people at the community night, at fundraisers. It really brings the entire school community together. I think a perfect example of that was the pep rally. So I just wanted to share that perspective and thank you for all of that all of those contributions to the school community on top of the nearly 100.
Well, thank you for all of your hard work. Amazing accomplishment, and we thank you for continuing to fight for this cause. So, thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, and our last communication piece is about our comprehensive plan. So I would like to call up Dr. Cachufo.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Katufo, as you know. I have Ms. Jen Joyner here with us as well. She is our supervisor of professional learning. And we were the administrators tasked with spearheading our comprehensive plan for 2024 through 2027. The one thing, just to start off, that I really want to focus on when we talk about a comprehensive plan is the plan is based on goals. And goals without a plan or a roadmap to get there are really just wishes. So we really took the things that we're doing as a district. We looked at them from our profile of a graduate to our strategic vision and our curriculum assessment, instruction, and environment, and really made sure that that's the path that we go down and continue to go down, especially with our vision and our mission for the district. We're very firm believers in if we're doing something that doesn't align to our mission and vision, we should not be doing it. So that's really the beginning of what our plan is. Ryan.
Leveling the playing field, focusing on student growth.
That's on slide 9. There we go. Okay. So just an overview of what we're going to be discussing tonight is the components of the process, identifying our strengths and challenges to establish our priorities and goals, the professional learning plan, which is a very big component of the strategic or the comprehensive plan, and then what our next steps are. So our comprehensive plan was made up of a steering committee. The steering committee is a mixture of school administrators, teachers, board members, community members, parents, students, just a very deep cross-section of folks that are in our district that have a viable stake in the things that happen in our district and moving forward. How do we engage those folks? Not just the people up on the screen, but how do we engage others in this process as well? So Pennsylvania has a continuous cycle of improvement that we follow in order to make our plan come to life. And it really is that circle on the other side, on that side, and it is a continuous improvement plan. So it's set, assess, create, implement, monitor, and then adjust, and then set again. So again, every 3 years, this plan comes up for reissuing. And the plan will be made available after tonight for 28 days on our website. And after it's made available, we will be bringing it, putting it on the board agenda, the first meeting, I believe, May 20th, because the plan is due, not the first meeting in May, it's the May 20th board meeting, because the plan is due to the state on May 31st. Just to refresh, I know all of you know our vision, our purpose, and our mission, and that is to empower students to create their own futures. So again, as I said before, if the things that we are doing do not match our mission or our vision, we should not be doing them, and we need to have conversations about how do we make sure that these pieces are in the forefront of everything that we do. That aligns to our profile of a Wilson graduate, which I know all of you are very, very familiar with. These are the skills that make our kids college, career, and life ready, which is a major piece because I know 10, 15 years ago, the focus was on when you finish high school, you're either college bound or you're not. Well, there's so many things that happen once a kid finishes high school that we really do need to take into account. A lot of the time, our kids are really maybe not ready for college, or maybe college isn't for them. And we need to make sure that we're giving them the skills and dispositions that they can be successful in life, not just in a college setting. So analyzing the strengths and challenges.
Good evening. Bring it down a little bit. So a big part of the work that the steering committee was charged with was looking at the PA Future Ready Index, which is comprised of about 12 measures of student success that result from the work that we do within our organization. So I do have a short little video if you're not familiar with the Future Ready PA Index, so you can see what it's all about, and then I'll speak to the work that the steering committee partook in during our time together.
Leveling the playing field, focusing on student growth, exploring career pathways, reducing the reliance on standardized testing, ensuring students graduate college and career ready, promoting multiple pathways to future success. These are just some of the ways the Future Ready PA Index would work to provide a more holistic measure of school success in the Commonwealth. The Future Ready PA Index, the proposed accountability tool to assess school performance, would broaden the factors used to evaluate school and student performance. Some of those factors include measuring English language acquisition among ESL students, considering how many students at a school take advanced placement courses or take advantage of dual enrollment programs, utilizing locally chosen reading assessments for select grades, meeting the needs of each student, counting the number of students who earn industry credentials before graduation, among other snapshots of student progress. The Department of Education traveled the state as it developed the Future Ready PA Index, speaking to thousands of stakeholders at more than 30 feedback sessions, from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, Lancaster to Lehigh. Educators, employers, advocates, and others weighed in. The message we heard loud and clear: there is no single way to measure student success. PDE's mission is to ensure that all Pennsylvanians, whether children or adults, have access to a high-quality education system that prepares them for future success, whether they choose college or career. Working together, we can help all students in PA become future ready.
So as you heard, the measures that are included in the Future Ready PA Index are up on the slide. There are state assessment measures, which not only look at just overall proficiency, but also look at growth of students over time on those state assessments. But they also include things like those on-track measures, like English language growth and attainment, our attendance. Obviously, if our kids aren't in school, that's a problem, and we need to make sure that they're in school, and that actually was a strength of ours, that our attendance rates are really good. Early indicators of success, grade 3 in reading and grade 7 math, and then those college and career measures are also pieces that we looked at. We looked at lots and lots of data from this Future Ready Index, and we asked a lot of questions. We had a lot of great conversations in small teams to identify some strengths and some challenge areas that we countered, and we said, you know what, maybe this should be an area of focus and direction for our organization moving forward. So the PA Future Ready Index measures these measures in a couple of ways. So it looks at performance from year to year. So that's where you see either there's growth up or down. It looks at growth of students over time. And then it also color codes towards a goal or an average. So this started in 2017. They mapped out 16 years, and then there are progress monitoring checkpoints along the way. So as long as we're moving along that path, we're doing well. And in some cases, though, we may not be meeting those checkpoints along the way, and sometimes we're exceeding those checkpoints along the way. So it really does allow us to see our performance over time. So in those small teams within the steering committee, we reviewed those measures, specifically looking for the strengths and challenges within each of the measures. And we discussed, of the challenges that we identified, some priority challenges for our comprehensive plan. We were charged with identifying 3 to 5 challenges that we wanted as a focus for future student growth. So the identified strengths that the steering committee identified, again, this is graduation rate. Our graduation rate, 96.4%. The statewide average was 89.7%, so we were above the statewide average. Our career standards and industry-based standards across the district, we were meeting the statewide average or statewide goal in some cases. growth, and this is inclusive of some of our subgroups because we did look at subgroups as well as overall scores. High school ELA and science showed growth, and middle school math was an area of strength as well and growth. As I shared earlier, attendance we were meeting the statewide average and/or statewide goal across the district, which was really good. Some of our subgroups were a little bit lower, but they were still meeting that average. So we had some good conversations about why is that? So it's not something that we are ignoring in those cases, but overall, our attendance is really good. The other piece that was not part of the PA Ready Index, but it is something to just keep note of in our work moving forward, is the percentage of Hispanic students. Our enrollment is trending up. As you know, there was a presentation several weeks ago about just the changing demographics in our district. So that's not something that we want to forget, and it is an identified strength that we identified.
So as we met as a steering committee, we met 3 times. And during those 3 times, the first time we unpacked data. And we really looked at what kind of trends are we seeing, good, bad, and indifferent. And then we took that data and we started to develop a draft of what goals could be. So after we did that, we met again and we had a preliminary draft of what those goals are. And then we took some feedback back, and then we took that piece, kind of tightened up the goals, and brought them back to the steering committee again. And these are the 3 final goals that we are including in the comprehensive plan moving forward. The first one is priority 1. It's the K-8 ELA proficiency. And that is by the end of 26-27. The Wilson School District will implement an embedded professional learning model that strengthens teacher capacity in teaching research-based literacy practices. As we know, Pennsylvania has really had a deep focus in literacy practices. So we want to make sure that our teachers in K through 8 have a deep understanding of what it means to teach literacy effectively. Priority 2 is K-8 math proficiency. And by 26-27, we'll be implementing a professional learning model that strengthens teacher capacity in teaching research-based mathematics as well. And as you know, a lot of the pieces that we're already doing with our shift in middle school math, our shift in intermediate elementary programming, and who's teaching what where, are pieces that are very laser focused on these goals. And the last goal is the continuous improvement of life, career, and college-ready skills. Again, by the end of the 26-27 school year, we'll increase overall achievement according to the PA Future Ready data by ensuring personalized feedback and student-centered ownership of life, career, and college-ready skills. Again, it's more than just a test score that we're looking at. Test scores are important, but they're not the end-all be-all of everything that we do. We want to make sure that our kids, when they leave us after their senior year, not only are successful in their professional careers or their college careers, but that they are viable members of society who contribute and give back as much as they possibly can. So when they look back and they train the next level or the next group, next generation of students that come through Wilson, that we're just having a cycle of success.
So those goals will be part of our professional learning plan. Some other professional learning highlights that will happen over the course of the 3 years, in addition to what Dr. Cotufo talked about with the 3-year cohort professional learning model, is that we really want to be more intentional about empowering our leadership. There are a lot of things on a leader's plate, and I don't mean just building administrators, I mean teacher leaders as well. But we really have created a system of teacher leaders. And so we want to make sure that we're building the capacity of teacher leaders to also provide continuous feedback in curriculum and instruction and assessment and learning environment. So they're not just hearing it from their building leaders, but they may be hearing it from a mentor or a lead learner or an IST teacher in the building. So strengthening the capacity of the leadership team is something that will be a priority in this plan. In addition to being more intentional with data analysis and planning, and having systematic times throughout the year where we're looking at common assessments, and planning. Data allows us to ask questions, but it also allows us to plan in a more intentional way. So with our multi-tiered systems of support, being more intentional about putting those common data times in. And then the last thing that you'll see that will be a highlight, and it's something we started this year, is continued opportunity for individualized professional learning opportunities. So this year, every teacher has created an individualized professional learning plan based on a self-reflection they've done. And we want to continue that because that's how our organization is going to grow from within too. So there are individuals who really have passions on certain things. We want to make sure that they're feeding their own professional learning. We provide opportunities as well, but we also want them to seek opportunities to bring that back to our organization. The other piece of our learning plan deals more with state mandates. So as PDE does require us that we include these pieces in our professional learning plan: language and literacy for all students, training and teaching diverse learners in inclusive settings, at least 1 hour of trauma-informed care for all staff, professional ethics framework guidelines, culturally relevant and sustaining education framework guidelines, and the structured literacy program framework guidelines. So in some cases, this may be happening in that cohort model. In some cases, this is happening at trainings after school. In some cases, it's happening on a professional learning day or in faculty meeting times. So all within the plan, we will also include those state mandates.
So next steps. The draft of the plan is being shared with all of you tonight. It is in the red folders for you. And tomorrow morning, it will be posted on our website. In discussing with our IU contact, our Berks County IU contact, I know in the past the wording from the state was that it had to be in a public library. That wording, according to the IU, has been changed, and standard practice across the Commonwealth for school districts is that they are posting to their website. One of the things that we're going to do as part of that, because with any public posting that happens, there needs to be some sort of feedback loop. So we will have a Google form also linked if anybody has any questions, that they just have to fill out the Google form and submit the question. And Ms. Joyner or myself will be able to answer those questions. Again, it's a 28-day public review. Again, we're looking at board approval for May 20th. And we would take all of the input and review it and revise as necessary on the plan. So, does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Schneider?
Hi. As somebody who got to participate in this, I'd like to first thank the both of you for your leadership in this. I would also like to thank all the other members for their time. Many of the people there were there in a volunteer capacity, and so it was really nice of them to give of their time. And I found everyone's contribution to be very meaningful, and it was a really nice process to be a part of. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And we look forward to the review on May 20th. Thank you for all of your work that you put into this. Thanks. I do not have any public participation on agenda items. Mr. Maravich, do you have any update? Okay. The board met in executive session last Friday to discuss personnel matter, as well as tonight, prior to tonight's meeting, to discuss personnel matters. Looking for an approval of the minutes from the Wilson School Board meeting held on April 2nd, 2024. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Mr. McCree, thank you. Do we have a second?
Schneider, second.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report, Mr. McCray.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report, investment reports, general and capital funds, financial reports as presented.
Thank you, Mr. McCray. We have a motion. Do we have a second for 3.1?
Second.
Mr. McCree, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Denny,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Payment of bills, Mr. McCray.
Yes, motion to approve the payment of bills as presented from general fund, $8,618,033.67. From capital reserve, $40,360.47. And from the 2021C construction fund, $522,852.81.
Thank you, Mr. McCray. We have a motion for 4.1. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. McCree, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
And financial reports, Mr. McCray.
Yes, motion to approve the financial reports for this past month, specifically from the cafeteria and childcare funds for March of 2024, and the activity counts at Southern Middle School, Wilson West Middle School, and the senior high for March of 2024.
Thank you, Mr. McCray. We have a motion for 5.1. Do we have a second? Keep it going.
Yeah.
Mr. McCree, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Takes us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Trickett.
Thank you, President Cocker. Tonight, I present all items within the report. Specifically, I'd like to call attention to 10 new hires that we're bringing on board here at this board meeting. Recommended hires, that is. 3 folks under our support staff, 6.4, and 7 teachers coming forward today. Our team has been very busy, ensuring that we're bringing forth the best candidates to work with our children every single day, remaining aggressive and really trying to make sure that we are reaching out to and putting forth a quality process to ensure that people choose the Wilson School District as their employer. Tonight, Mr. DeFeo is here, as well as Ms. Keene, both able to be here tonight at the board meeting. So if you don't mind just standing to be acknowledged, very much appreciate you making time to come out tonight. Pending approval here of my items, you will be our newest hired folks here on our team.
Thank you, Dr. Trickett. Looking for a motion to approve superintendent's report, items 6.1 through 6.7 as presented. Mr. Hart, thank you. Do we have a second?
Denny?
Mrs. Denny, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider, Mrs. Cocker.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Welcome to all of our new hires, especially the 2 that are able to make it tonight. Welcome to the Wilson family. Next item, we have a consent item, request to accept with gratitude the following donation: a 3D printer from Chandler Rocks Aquascaping to be used at West Middle School. Looking for a motion to accept for 7.1.
So moved. Case?
Mr. Case, thank you. Do we have a second?
Schneider, second.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, this is a voice vote, so all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to Human Resources. 8.1, request to approve the updated job descriptions as attached. 8.2, request to approve an administrative stipend for coverage of additional duties as attached. Looking for a motion for Human Resource items 8.1 and 8.2.
Hart.
Mr. Hart, thank you. Do we have a second?
Denny?
Mrs. Denny, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. McCree,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mrs. Denny,
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Student Services, 9.1, request permission to renew a contract with Hogan Learning Academy, LLC, for special education students for the 2024-25 school year at a cost of $490 per student per day. The cost encompasses the regular school year as well as ESY, beginning 8/19/24 and ending 8/15/25. And 9.2, request approval of MOU with Voice Up Berks to provide coordination of a district-wide service learning event and 17 QPR suicide awareness gatekeeper training sessions for students at Wilson High School during the 2024-25 school year as attached, pending solicitor review and approval. Looking for a motion to approve student services items 9.1 and 9.2. Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. McCree, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, my only comment would be that for 9.2, all of my interactions with the Voice Up Berks group have been extremely positive. They're an amazing group of young future leaders, current leaders in their own realm, but future leaders in our community. So I look forward to seeing what they have in store. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Dr. Trickett?
Yes,
had
my
a note.
apologies. I missed Miss Buck in the back. If you could put your hand up, please. She will be joining us as a middle-level math teacher. I apologize for missing you. We have 3 of our 7 teachers here tonight, and we're equally as happy to welcome you as well.
Thank you, Dr. Trickett.
Thank you to Ms. Heilman, too, for flagging me down. I appreciate that.
Moving on to operations, 10.1. Request approval of agreements for schematic design with Food Facilities Concept for the Lincoln Park Elementary School at a cost of $22,850 and Southern Middle School at a cost of $2,800 for the project from the 2021 C-Bond, pending solicitor review and approval. 10.2, request to approve a contract with Event EQ for the rental of one 8x15 mobile LED screen for the Wilson Class of 2024 graduation event in the amount of $7,724. 10.3, request approval to use STR Business Solutions to lease the mail center and a folding machine at a rate of $493 per month as attached, pending solicitor review. And 10.4, request approval to contract with International Fireworks Company for graduation at a cost of $9,250, pending solicitor review and approval. Looking for a motion to approve operations items 10.1 through 10.4.
So moved. Case?
Mr. Case, thank you. Do we have a second?
Schneider.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Any discussion?
All 4 of these came up in our facilities meeting that we recently had. One of the things I did want to comment on that was brought up with regard, is there a updated price on renting out the Santander Center, just as a comparison? For renting, for the fireworks, I know that in the past we've had Education Foundation, some donations go towards fireworks. Renting an LED, has a cost to it. But in comparison, we're building a community with regard to having graduation on campus, which is second to none, as opposed to going to Santander. But I'm just kind of curious if we monitor what the cost is to rent that out for graduation. One of the things that was brought up in facilities committee is, renting an LED screen. Is there an opportunity at some point to purchase one, and incorporate that into the stadium for future graduations and games and everything else, and so we wouldn't have to rent. So at some point, if you want to discuss that as a board or one of the facilities, operations or facilities, and that might come up to light at some point, what the return is on that. Have we had a cost of the Santander recently? Just out of curiosity.
I have not seen an updated price of the Santander. I would imagine that it is less than what it costs to run our event at the magnitude of which we do. All in to run our graduation is approximately $40,000 for each graduating. We do still work with the Ed Foundation to try to secure donations. I know they recently released their link to do so. That's a plug to donate if you're willing. But I do agree that having it here on site is definitely more memorable for our students. If I can get the cost, many of the school districts in Berks County still do use Santander. There are some efficiencies that are created when we do have an indoor location, but the feedback we've received from our students and our families is super positive. We also have looked at possibly bringing forward a proposal for a large screen at Gursky Stadium and as well as some other areas. That is something we could bring.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Case. Any other comments for operations? Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Yeah.
Loud, thank you. I just wanted to note that number 10.1, even though it's on here for our approval, those monies were already approved for those projects when we approved the next stage of those projects. And the good news is that the amount for the Lincoln Park proposal is slightly less than we had budgeted for. So not a lot, but we'll take when we get it. So we have to recognize that.
Thank you, Mrs. Denny. Any other discussion for operations items? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Finance, 11.1, request approval of the Public School Improvement Grant Program application resolution as attached. 11.2, request approval of the 2024-25 Berks Career and Technology Center General Fund proposed operating budget as attached. 11.3, request approval to accept a 2024 grant check in the amount of $2,300 from Capital Blue Cross to be used to support Wilson's program for staff wellness. 11.4, request permission to establish a student activity account for the Make a Change Club in the high school student activities fund. And 11.5, request approval of the budget transfers dated March 14th, 2024 through April 10th, 2024 as attached. Looking for a motion to approve finance items 11.1 through 11.5.
McCray.
Mr. McCray, thank you. Do we have a second?
Hart.
Mr. Hart, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Curriculum and Staff Development, 12.1, request approval to enter into a contract with Phantom Entertainment Service to provide services for the Southern Middle School's end-of-year celebration at a cost of $5,450. 12.2, request approval to enter into contract with Phantom Entertainment Services to provide services for the West Middle School's end-of-year celebration at a cost of $3,450. 12.3, request approval to enter into a contract with Big Bright Bounces, LLC, to provide services for the West Middle School's end-of-year celebration at a cost of $6,765. And 12.4, requests approval to enter into a contract with Over the Moon Events Rentals, LLC, to provide services for the West Middle School's end-of-year celebration at a cost of $341. Looking for a motion to approve curriculum and staff development items 12.1 through 12.4.
Schneider, so moved.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Do we have a second? Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Any discussion? Okay. I would just like to point out that while both of the middle schools have end-of-year celebrations, not all of their contracts come up for approval at the same time. So we have 3 on here for West, 1 on for Southern. Our goal is obviously always to have as close to an equal experience for students regardless of their middle school that they attend. So while it's slightly lopsided here, that is obviously on our radar, and one of our goals to make sure that the students have a similar experience, or at least equitable experience, and we may see more contracts coming up for Southern. It just happened that all of the West contracts were on the same agenda. Mr. Schneider?
If I remember correctly, I think we already did approve the bounce house stuff at the last meeting for Southern. So
Right, so that was
to
included
your
with.
point,
Right, and we had a number of elementary bounce house, there's a lot of bounce houses going on. A number of elementary approvals for the bounce houses in Southern was grouped into there. So I just wanted to point out our goal in keeping things as equal as possible. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
That takes us to miscellaneous report. For enrollment, as of April 11th, 2024, there were 6,488 students, which is an increase of 14 from the previous report on March 18th, 2024, which had been a decrease of 14. So it's just a roller coaster. But that does speak to some transiency, which has a big effect on education. So while the numbers go up and down, those are real children in real classrooms with teachers who are trying to educate them, and then they pop in and pop out. So just keep that in mind. We do keep track of it, as well as who's coming in, who's coming out, and how often. So, all right, takes us to committee reports. Mrs. Casper is not here this evening. She will have her report next meeting. She is in a conference for the Pennsylvania Association for Adult Continuing Education, as she does in our community in educating adults who have English language, who are emerging English language speakers. So, Dr. Kennedy, for your reports.
I have no report.
Thank you. Mrs. Schlasman with Berks EIT? No report, thank you. Extracurricular committee, one moment, met. Actually, no, we canceled. Yes, I have no report either. We were supposed to meet last week, which is why I was getting my calendar. We also had no report, and we'll meet next month. Mr. Case, Facilities Committee, are you going to ruin our streak?
I have a report.
All right, thank
Someone's
you.
got to work around here, right? I'm only kidding. A couple things. We met last week on the 8th. First thing on the agenda was our capital spending budget, and for facilities and operations, there's about $337,000 left for projects that were budgeted for this year. So there's, one of the things that you'll start seeing for the remainder of the year is to how are we going to use the funds that are still available in the capital budget. And one of the conversations that came up was being used for the tech ed improvements, somewhere around $250,000 for that, and for art room improvements, 2 kilns and a paint booth, and a wall for protection, which would run about $15,000. So I would imagine those would be on future board agendas, but that was part of the conversation. We did talk about the Pitney Bowes mailing machine. One thing I did want, there was a rep from Stratix that came in to discuss the new mailing machine and some of the cost savings based on, labor and certified mail and packages and mailings, ink and labor, some of the savings, so that we moved forward with purchasing that machine or leasing it. Champions before and after school care came up, and Dr. Stout made a proposal to allow champions to utilize our elementary school spaces on work days that school is closed. When we talk about before and after care, I know many of our kids have gone through the program, and it's a great program. One of the things, though, that when there's shortened days for educators to, or days off, there's still people that work in working families, and what do? They have to find other accommodations for their children. So one of the things that came up is, now that we're partnering with Champions, is the committee is in support of just trying this new schedule for interested families. This may also help to encourage enrollment for some families. So there are some potential family work days that are outside of our approved school schedule for before and after school childcare. So the winter, if we would do this, there's some challenges with the winter break that we'd have to still talk about. And the Champions staff will gauge pretty much interest from families about care between Christmas and New Year's when when a school is closed and decide how to consolidate potential students for care in a fewer number of centers. So this is just kind of a proposal and just some conversation at this point to see if there's interest, and then I would imagine at some point we would come back and discuss it further if we were actually going to do that or not. Trying to do this at a cost neutral for the district, because obviously we'd have to have some buildings open, and custodial staff would have to be cleaning a couple things in the meantime for days off. So there's some challenges to overcome there, but that was a topic of conversation. For Performing Arts Center update, interior demolition of the auditorium is moving along nicely, and they are working on identifying the last of the unidentified underground utilities in the courtyard. Excavation will be commencing next week, which is this week, as the reinforcing steel has arrived on site, so foundations can start, which is great news. And Lincoln Park, so there's some post-planning commission updates, kind of working with the township to understand whether Lincoln Park will need a special zoning exemption or not. So that's kind of up in the air, and there's a preliminary plan review in the June timeframe. For that, we talked about our food facilities concepts earlier with regard to Lincoln Park, to design the cafeteria and food services, what that would look like. So we approved that today, and Denny brought up a great point about the funds already approved. And then there was a southern update, same thing with the food facilities concepts on what that would look like. Gursky Turf is going to be replaced. That looks like it's going to start June 3rd. And then we talked about already the permits and there's a whole bunch of things in the background for graduation with regard to the parade, fireworks, and security. With regard to our vendor, KRE, our partner, township letters, fireworks, the LED screen that was approved. And the last thing that we talked about was the transportation office and potential of building a new office in some unused space in the operations building. And then we met our new custodial service coordinator, Zach. Great, I didn't forget Zach's name. Zach, sorry? Withheld. Okay, Zach. That was it. And our next meeting is Monday, June 10th. My report.
Thank you for our first report, Mr. Case. Finance Committee, Mr. McCray.
We have not met since our last meeting.
Thank you. Legislative, Mr. Schneider.
Yeah, just really 2 points. One, I printed out but forgot to bring the first 5 pages of the BCIU's annual state mandates booklet. I wasn't going to print out all 100, but the first 5 pages of it are just the table of contents, just to remind everyone the struggles that face the schools, and not just our school, but all the schools in the Commonwealth based on the number of mandates that are often unfunded that are placed on us. The other one is a little more positive. They actually had thousands of applicants for the new student teacher stipend program. Now, there is a cap to it, but my hope is if they can continue with this or enlarge the funding in some way, that could help stem the flow of teachers out of the profession and bring in some additional teachers as well. So hopes are high for that program. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Human Resources, Mr. Hart.
Again, it's a busy time for hiring. I know the middle school and high school had put in a lot of hours interviewing in the past several weeks, and elementary is doing more this week. Keep up the great work, a lot of hard work for the administration, the HR team, and everyone involved. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Public Relations, Mrs. Troutman.
Good evening. I'm first going to share a little bit of Wilson good news. So first, we want to congratulate autistic support teacher at Green Valley, Madison Hynoski, for being nominated for the Annie Sullivan Award. This award recognizes outstanding service and dedication to advocating for the well-being of students with disabilities. So we'd like to acknowledge Madison's incredible contributions to the Green Valley community and the Wilson School District. Next, recently, Gail Kime and Jeslea Herring-Thomas participated in Cane Quest at Kutztown University. The purpose of Cane Quest is to promote independence by challenging PA's blind and visually impaired students to utilize and showcase their orientation and mobility skills. Gail participated in the Pathfinders group, and she earned first place, so congrats to her. And Jazz participated in the Explorers group. And we just want to say we're so proud of both of our students for their ongoing achievements. And we've been talking a lot about graduation, so it's a little over 6 weeks away. Can you believe it? I know, it's coming quickly. So it's become a tradition here at Wilson that we share spotlights of our seniors on our district social media, all done by our intern in the communications department. So with close to 500 graduates, you can imagine that is a daunting task. And we actually started those spotlights today, so that marked a milestone. So today we started posting those spotlights. You will see senior spotlights every weekday now until graduation. So be sure to check them out and encourage our seniors as they prepare for this next step. And then not on my report, but as I was sitting at my chair there, I looked around the room and I thought you might wonder why there's no artwork anywhere. There's no artwork here, there's none in the hallway, there's none in the lobby, but it's for a good reason. It's because our art show, our high school art show is coming up. And you probably remember in the past, the high school art show was always in the lobby of the auditorium. Well, of course, that's under construction. So there's a big team that's been working with our art teachers and students to have the high school art show actually hosted here. So it'll be in this room, it'll be in the hallway, and it'll be in the lobby. And if you can't tell, I'm so excited because we'll get to be around the art for all those days. So I'm really going to encourage the community to come on May 1st. That is going to be the public viewing for the art show. It'll be obviously in this room and on the hallway and in the lobby starting at 6 p.m. But the art show will also be open during the day for our students and our teachers to come and look at all the amazing artwork of our students here at Wilson. So again, we invite you all to come to the art show on May 1st. So that's my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Troutman. Education Foundation, Mr. Case.
The foundation has not met, so I have no report. Thanks.
Thank you. Technology Committee, Mr. McCray.
I had a conflict, so I believe Mr. Schneider has a report tonight.
I do. We met today and we discussed several topics. We talked about replacement laptops for the staff for the middle school. We talked about the upgrades for the camera project beginning this summer. We talked about 1,100 Chromebook leases for students. This summer, 80 new line panels will be installed as upgrades. We talked about E-rate monies for firewall support and for the upcoming Performing Arts Center. We talked about a safety feature in Google Chat wherein if students type in specific keywords, it will give warnings out so that students will be aware that what they're saying to each other is public knowledge. And then we talked about this summer finishing up or starting the finish of the wireless upgrades with the access points being ordered yesterday. Our next meeting is, I believe, June 17th. Is that right, Ryan? Oh, I don't know where we went. I think it's the 17th. So, yeah, okay. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Student Outreach, Mr. Bryce Heilman.
Thank you. As Wilson's girls lacrosse team beat Mifflin 20-7, they also had many outstanding player achievements recently, with Alexa Kyrus scoring her 200th career goal and Audrey Miller scoring her 100th. The boys lacrosse team also saw victories against Conrad Weiser and Owen J. Roberts this past week, and Carter Brensinger scored his 100th career goal. Last week, Wilson's JROTC cadets hosted their first ever 2nd Brigade cybersecurity competition. Teams were represented from Maine to Maryland, and one of Wilson's teams took first place at the competition, as we heard about earlier this evening. Over the past few weeks, honors pre-calculus students worked on their dioramas to show the real-world application of pre-calculus and trigonometry. They had to create a situation in which a triangle shape could be created and then measured, such as hitting a baseball, calculating a car route, or saving a dog from a tree with a ladder, which is what I think I did a couple years ago with my partner. In more math news, the high school statistics fair happened last week as well. Statistics students ran various different games and used the data from their games to calculate statistics. Also last week, students across the district celebrated the solar eclipse with fun activities. On Saturday, April 6th, Wilson's National Honor Society ceremony occurred, where 125 new members were inducted into the society as a demonstration of their academic achievement. And last Wednesday, 4 high school students, Savannah Garceau, Isabel Negrini, Kofi Inoche, and myself, representing student government and AP government classes, traveled to Harrisburg for their third and final session of Senator Judy Schwank's Model Senate. They worked alongside students from several other schools and got to see the Capitol building, as well as were introduced and acknowledged by the Senate during their session. In music news, the jazz band has had a busy few weeks, with 2 members, Josh Bauscher and Dexter Sales, participating in the All-Star County Jazz Festival. The band also performed at the Berks Jazz Fest last week, winning Outstanding Section and Soloist Awards, and then on Saturday hosted their annual Home Fest as well. Coming up, April 19th, the Green Valley Theater Club will be performing Willy Wonka Kids at Wilson West Middle School. And this week on Tuesday, the Treble Choir will have a concert at Southern Middle School at 7 p.m. entitled Never One Thing. This concert will be their last performance of their songs before they hit the road the next day for Erie, Pennsylvania, to perform at the PMEA All-State Festival, which they were invited to perform at. And next week, from Thursday the 25th through Saturday the 27th, Wilson Theater Company will be performing their final shows of the year with a series of 9 student-directed one-acts. So that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Heilman. Ms. Maravich, I do not have public participation on non-agenda items. Do you have anything? Okay. Looking for any other business from the board. Mr. Schneider.
Yeah, I was just hoping to follow up on Mr. Heilman's report. I think a big thank you shout out to the Wilson Education Foundation for supplying the solar glasses to all the kiddos so that they could safely enjoy what could be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The next one that North America will experience is 2044, but you got to be in Montana or North Dakota to see it, so maybe we could take a field trip at that time.
Mrs. Denny?
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on 2 of Mr. Heilman's comments. The one is he mentioned that Alexis Kairos got her 200th goal. Her mom is also on one of the banners in the natatorium. So I think it's great that you have 2 generations of athletes recognized within Wilson. And I think that the school really deserves a lot of recognition for how they handled the solar eclipse. I know every school district handled it a little differently, and I understand the concern because of the timing of it. But rather than dismiss early or close for the day, all of the teachers turned it into an outstanding learning event. I had the opportunity to be at Cornwall Terrace, and the kids were so excited about it. It was kind of like the day before, winter break. They were really very excited. They read them books about, not looking at the sun and talking about it. And I think it's one of those kinds of events that in another 20 or 30 years, the students that participated in this are going to look back and they're going to remember that. They're going to talk about, when we had the solar eclipse, they had, Cornwall Terrace, they had some high school students that brought a really, the big telescope, and they were able to look at it, and we saw a spot on the sun, and it really brought all the different things together. So I congratulate all of the teachers and the administration for making it into such a great learning opportunity.
Yeah, agreed. And I was able to witness the Whitfield experience, and it was actually kind of perfect timing because it was right around pickup time. So parents would come up, and all the students were out with their classes, around the grass, and you could just feel the buzz of excitement. It was great. Like all of these little groups of kids talking, and the oohs, and we, once the cloud moved, everyone kind of at the same time. It was a little moment there, and everyone at the same time was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it was just, it was a once in a lifetime experience. So it was really a fun thing to witness. So, any other business from the board? Dr. Kennedy.
I have a good news update. Before this, I was at the Wilson Mifflin baseball game, and they were tied when I left, and they had a walk-off in the 9th inning, Nick Fiorni with a single. So we built Mifflin in the 9th inning, so it was quite the matchup between the rivalries.
Excellent. Thank you for that live coverage. Any other business from the board? Mr. Case.
I just wanted to add to my report. I kind of missed this, but it was on the agenda. Item 11.1, I just want to thank Mr. Simcox and the administration team for first off finding the grant and applying for it. It's a hefty $5 million grant for the HVAC for Southern, so that is a large price tag. So I don't know when we would find out when we get that or not, but October? Okay, but, it's great, to apply for it and at least ask. So hopefully we get it. It would be big savings, obviously.
Absolutely. Any other business? Looking for a motion to adjourn?
Schneider, so moved.
Meeting adjourned.